just waiting on everyone to join in so we can get started on today's topic. It's not very long. We're going to take most of the time today to answer your questions because last time we had a lot of questions left over after the live. So I decided let's just make it about questions. All right, so we're ready to rock and roll. Let me confirm that everyone on YouTube and Facebook can hear me. You have a ton of questions. Melissa, okay, well, welcome. You're in the right place. We're going to be answering questions live today. If you'd like to join us on video, and I can add you to our live, okay? All right. For those of you who are just joining, especially on TikTok, I see about 60 people right now watching. Thank you very much. My name is Ify, the Marriage Green Card Lawyer. If you just see me for the first time, I help clients file their marriage-based green card through marriage so they can live permanently in the USA and build a life with their family. Okay, so that's what I do. All right, so thank you for joining. If you accidentally just found my live, still stick around. We talk about different things on this page that could relate to you. So if you're not an immigrant, you may still learn something today. We're talking about VAWA for men, which relates to different types of abuse that men experience in relationship that many of the times we don't talk about. So today, since I help clients file their permanent residency green card, I'm talking about other options if you find yourself in a marriage and there is some abuse going on or something going on and you don't even recognize it's. How can you get your green card? How can you get your freedom? How can you leave that relationship to start your life in the USA? Okay. All right. So let me know in the comments where you are watching from. I see a lot of questions already coming in. We're definitely going to dive into those questions soon enough, like I said. So let me see here. How do we get to, yes. So today's topic is VAWA for men. We're going to dive deep into 3 particular types of abuse that men typically experience that most of the time gets overlooked, right? Because people are like, but there was no physical fighting, right? Or so how do we know it's abusive? That's one of the reasons I hear why people don't file. Yes, thank you, Yvonne from Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for joining. Wow, that's the power of the internet. We're from all over the world, and I love it. Thank you for joining. If you haven't followed me yet, just click on the link in my bio, and you'll be able to find information about me. I don't have my QR code today, but that's okay. You can just check me out at the Marriage Green Card Lawyer on the internet, on Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. And you can subscribe so that you don't miss out on when I go live once a week to answer some of your questions, okay? Yeah, so some of you have already talked to me before, maybe you have follow-up questions. This is one quick way to get your answers. So let's keep the questions coming in, and then in a few minutes, we'll get into them. So the first thing we're talking about is what VAWA is. I always like to start with a definition because a lot of people hear VAWA and they're just like, what's that? It's confusing. I know I've met a couple of people who have never heard about VAWA before until they met me. So what is VAWA? VAWA is simply a process that's created for non-citizens who experience abuse when they're married to a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident. They experience extreme cruelty, prevent them from moving forward with life, essentially. because no human being should have to go through some of the things that you'd be surprised that non-citizens go through just because they don't have their citizenship or they don't have their green card or papers, as people call it, right? So that's how VAWA came to be. So that's exactly what VAWA is about. If you're a non-citizen and you don't have permanent residency, you don't have work authorization, you haven't traveled to see your family in a while, or you are just feeling trapped in a situation, because even though nothing bad is going on, but you just have a feeling, right? It's like you tend to wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning to check your bank account because you just feel like somebody has taking your money, or when you want to buy property, you're just like, I don't know, like I feel like my spouse is going to try to do something. If you're having those feelings, that's most likely because you're under some form of financial abuse that you don't have recognized. So welcome to my. We're going to talk about 3 common types of abuse that men experience in relationships. If you missed out last week, I talked about 10 different ways you can tell if you are experiencing extreme cruelty from your spouse. So today we're focusing just on men, just because this month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we're just trying to keep everyone aware. My current clients, people who call me, my followers on TikTok, on Facebook, everywhere. Just letting you know that you have options to yourself and get your green card, regardless of the situation, okay? So one thing to keep in mind, to remember, is that your abusive U.S. citizen spouse is not going to find out about this process, even though they try to make you feel like they're all powerful, all knowing, right? Because that's one of the ways you get manipulated. You just feel that fear that they may be able to call USCIS or one thing or the other. They really, can't. So just know that the only way they find out things is really you telling them, and maybe they slip through your emails or your phone. Okay, so those are the things you need to protect. They're not all knowing. So USCIS does not let the abusive spouse know, so you're protected in that way. But if you're experiencing some of these things I'm going to discuss today, you may have an option to file a VAWA petition. Now, keep in mind that there's definitely more than one requirement for VAWA, okay? Abuse is just one of them. So if you've experienced some of these things, you still need to speak to an attorney to determine if you meet all the other requirements, okay? Because VAWAs do get denied, even for people who have been clearly abused. I've seen that happen before. So don't get carried away and just say, okay, well, I've been abused, so I'm just going to file VAWA. You still need to have that consultation to make sure that you can satisfy all the 7 requirements for a VAWA-based green card. All right? Okay. So 3 common types of abuse that men experience. The first one will be verbal abuse. Okay. Verbal abuse is very common in the society today, that people tend to overlook that type of abuse, that form of control and manipulation, right? So imagine being just a regular, maybe you're just a citizen, right? And imagine a citizen, there's no green card situation. Imagine how trapped you'd feel in that kind of dynamic. And then there's no green card involved even. People still stay in abusive relationships. So now imagine when you're now depending on that type of abuser to help you with something that's going to give you freedom and allow you to, figure out your own purpose. Of course they're not going to do it. That's the whole point. That's what abuse, is all about, right? They want to keep you trapped in that situation so that you can always just look up to them and you just feel ashamed, so there's always that name calling and things that we think is normal, or you may just overlook, but it's not, because done over time, right, that will definitely affect your self-worth and definitely affect the way that you show up, for yourself in the world. So your life just revolves around this person. You're always trying to defend yourself because they're always, humiliating you, or just, poor communication, right? In a relationship, there's going to be fights and quarrels, but that doesn't mean that it should be constant name calling, yelling. There's a way to communicate as a couple, a partnership, right? Where you're trying to build a future together. So if this person is doing this with you, they definitely don't want to build a future with you. So, but if you had the intent when you got married, when you met them, that this was going to be your person and you build a future together, um, it's just like you're stuck now. So what are you going to do? Because this person clearly does not want to build any future with you. So what are you going to do? So should I go back to my country? What if you've had children? Because there's situations whereby they've had children, because this thing can go on for years. Okay. And then for my male VAWA clients, I've seen a situation of 20 years where my client, every time we speak on the phone, he just breaks down crying because he's like, he doesn't really understand what's going on, because obviously he's a big, tall man, and he's never, he seems like, it seems like life is okay for him, right? But why don't I have my green card for 20 years? What's going on? There is some form of control and manipulation, and that just comes with constant verbal abuse. And the other second type of most common type of abuse, which is emotional abuse, right? So if there's, from verbal abuse, it's already leading into emotional abuse, because at this point in time, you're not sure of yourself. You're just always doubting your reality. And the person is just constantly either threatening to break up with you, or stop the green card process, or just whatever, or making you feel like all you want is just a green card, and so on and so forth. But the thing about the truth of the matter is this: maybe you don't want a green card because some people may be citizens of another country, like a first world country, that they didn't necessarily need a green card, or they had good jobs in whatever country they were in. So they didn't need a green card, but you had them, leave and come here to build a life with you, and then preventing that person from getting that thing that's going to help them actually build that life with you is just so contradictory. Hey, Anim, thank you for joining. Yeah, we were talking about VAWA for men today, and how, the three common types of abuse that men experience in relationships. So they can know their options to get a green card. Anim is one of the therapists that I work with to help clients understand some of their symptoms and figure out ways to pretty much support their claims, because with emotional abuse and verbal abuse, you probably never call the police, so you don't have a police report. So you need some type of professional evaluation to help you understand how these things are affecting the fact that you're not sleeping, you're not eating, you're not able to keep your job because this person is constantly coming to your job to cause fights, with you. That's another form. That's the number 3 point I was going to talk about, which is financial abuse, okay, and economic control. Okay, so if those things keep on happening to you, it's definitely going to cause some type of anxiety, depression, or something that we just cannot diagnose. So that's where people like Anim. Okay, yeah, thank you very much. She's currently working on an affidavit right now. So if you need that kind of support, a referral, definitely reach out. Now we can help you. We can connect you with a therapist who will help you understand the seriousness of what's going on and how it's affecting your entire life. Okay, so don't take it lightly. Economic control, which is number 3, happens very subtly as well. That's definitely a form of abuse that is recognized for a VAWA-based green card. So You'll be able to show bank account statements if this person is overspending or creating debts in your name. I mean, I've seen this stuff with my clients. It's just going to be really nerve-wracking. So now you have to work 2 jobs and try to support someone who's just threatening to divorce you at every point in time, or today they're like loving, and then tomorrow they just completely change and accuse you of cheating or, whatever. And you're then, you're forced to do all these things, like maybe stop working just to prove that you're not talking to men at work. Like, it's ridiculous. Come on. So let's get it together. Let's get these green cards and leave these abusive situations, okay? It's not really about the person, or, you're not trying to, I always have to say this because many immigrants that I speak to are always like, I don't want the person to get in trouble. I'm like, it's really not about them. I wanted to get in trouble or not. And that's not the purpose of VAWA. VAWA is here to help you get the freedom that you deserve, that you need to experience life. Because I've said time and time again, because what will be the point if you're just here trapped under someone else's dictating your moods and your everything. You have to work on eggshells and so on and so forth. Okay. You already know how this feels. You already know. It's like nobody has to, it's not rocket science. You can feel it. That's why you're asking all these questions. That's why you feel the need to record things. That's why you are just second guessing things, because your inner being is telling you something is not right. Okay? So you are trying to pretend, try to cover it up with, like, I don't know, whatever you use. Everyone has their own different vices, It might be like food, that's the most common one. You just try to act like, oh, no, it's not happening. And then, life is going by 20 years, okay? I've seen it happen, okay? I've just been practicing law for about 5 years, so I definitely wasn't a lawyer when it first started happening, but I'm glad I'm here now. So if you haven't heard about a VAWA-based green card, knowing that, or heard that these things I've just mentioned are potentially abusive ways that your U.S. citizen spouse controls you, and that you can show for a VAWA-based petition, definitely reach out. Let us discuss, because if you meet the other requirements, we can potentially help you file a VAWA-based green card. If you already filed and your green card is pending, still reach out, because there's still an option to file a abuse waiver. Because sometimes you already have your green card, and then it's time to remove conditions, and then the person starts, saying, oh, I'm not going to sign, or maybe you're even already divorced. So sometimes that's the case too. So if that's the case, still reach out. My number is on the screen. You guys know where to find me, at the Marriage Green Card Lawyer, all over the internet. You'll see me doing one thing or the other, sharing tips to help you. The goal is to just give you the tools that will help you get to the freedom that you need to pursue your goals and your dreams, okay? Always put yourself first and put your goals first. Don't lay down your life for anyone else's goals, because that's not really how it works. It's not, if I do this, then maybe you're not going to get anything out of that. Just focus your energy on building yourself, and you'll meet somebody else who's already built up, who understands the importance of also focusing their energy on building themselves. So in doing so, it's just love. There's no time to tear down one another and all that stuff. So book a call with me. Let's discuss, okay? All right. So now it's time for questions and answers. I believe I was able to do that in how long? 10 minutes, 15 minutes? That was great. So we're done with the topic. You heard me. Check out my other lives or posts about this topic. And yeah. So let's go. What are the questions? All right. Great question, Melissa on TikTok. Melissa, I feel like we talked on the phone recently, but maybe not. but I did speak to someone about this age gap thing, and I immediately referred her to my TikTok, which I was very proud of, that moment where my client got approved in 5 months for their I-130. And in that case, there was a big age difference, or there is a big age difference. And clearly, that did not affect the approval because the point here, the reason why age difference would be a red flag is if the couple is unable to show anything else in common. They're not able to show their commingled lifestyle, okay, or their intent to build that life together. So, because otherwise, what is a 70-year-old man doing with like a 25-year-old girl? Like, what's happening? So that's why they're going to be like, no, this is just for green card, okay? But if they can show something more, just children live together, I mean, they have a joint account, all these other things that a couple typically has, great, So it's not really a big deal, but it can be a red flag only if you do show proof of anything else, okay? Because it's just natural flow of life. It just would seem like it doesn't add up, but it does, okay? It does. Like I've seen it work for my clients. If you just have other proof of what's going on, like what are the other details of this relationship? How are you planning on supporting? What are the goals and dreams? Like if it's a man, like an older woman and a younger man, if the man is like, well, my goals are, to I want my wife to have babies or do something that is just not happening, or the woman already says she's not doing. So we can already see right there, there's no connection. So that's really what you should think about. So if you have that connection, great. Okay, next question. I see like 10 lined up questions. That's so great. We're going to just take the rest of the time to answer questions. And like I said, reach out to me through the number on the screen. So what's the next one? From Ice, hi, Ify. Do men need to show proof of abuse like medical records or psychologist assessments? Yes. A great question, Ice. Yes. Men need to show, psychological assessments. Let me not say they need to show, but that helps to prove the abuse that they're claiming. So if they're claiming like, my spouse is always verbally abusing me, calling me names, and I just feel trapped. I don't feel, safe in the house. I have to walk on eggshells or whatever they claim. They tell me all these things. And I'm like, yes, this definitely sounds like extreme cruelty. It's great. So if they obviously didn't call the police, right? Like I said, it's just stuff that's happening to them in their head, right? So they then go to my colleague that was mentioning, Anim, and she then listens to the same story. She's like, okay, yes, you definitely have XYZ. So that's a psychological assessment, right? So that helps support the statements they already made and wrote down for their package, because one of the requirements to prove extreme cruelty is you to write your personal statement, right? Because you're the one that experienced the abuse, so you're the one that's going to write what happened. Like, how did this turn? How did the person that you loved so much just turn into an abuser? Okay, that's why they look at the entirety of the circumstance. It's not just whether you've been abused. Is like, okay, so how did you meet? How long did you date? How long did you know this person's family? Like, what's the entire relationship? They're going to look at that whole thing to then determine, okay, yes, this is good. Otherwise, it's just like you meet somebody after like 2 months, they're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to file a VAWA-based petition because you're just annoying. I mean, I'm not saying that did not happen and the abuse is not real. Just saying you have to see where the USCIS is coming from, right? They want to see that timeline and intent. And sometimes the shorter the courtship, the harder it is to prove that, you know, it was and all that. Okay, so because you don't even have documents, because you still need to also submit proof of that bona fide relationship. So definitely show proof of your abuse. Use psychological assessments, medical records if it's something like sexual abuse or something that you had to go to a doctor about, or maybe just bruises on your body that you probably didn't call the police, but they're like scars and you went to your doctor or something like that. So you can use that stuff for sure. Okay, thanks for that question. The next one, Yvonne. How can I seek asylum in the U.S.? Yvonne on TikTok, thank you or is it Yvonnette? Or what am I seeing the Yvonne? I'm not even sure how to say his name. But anyways, thanks for your question. Asylum is a whole different animal from family-based immigration. But what I can say is if you're not in the USA already, probably seeking refugee status, that's probably something different. But the main point for any of these humanitarian type visas, which could lead to a green card in the future. I currently have a client who's actually an asylum who filed for a green card as well. That's also a possibility. But if you're not in the USA, or if you've been in the USA for longer than a year, because you're really supposed to file your net. Okay, your net. Okay, thanks for clarifying the name. So yeah, so if you haven't been in the USA for at all or for longer than a year and you haven't filed to claim that there's some type of persecution in your country that's going to affect you, like literally kill you if you go back, and that's the claim. So if you don't have those things, it's a whole different thing. So just try to talk to a lawyer. There are different types of lawyers who specialize in these types of situations. So, because if you're going through something, maybe you might qualify for refugee status, but I'm not sure. Did you say you were from Trinidad? Are you the one who said that, or was that Melissa? I'm not sure. Where are you currently located right now? So, yeah, but anyways, thanks for your question. So the next question I'll take on the live. Let's see if we can get some solutions. It's just as simple as, some of these things you can find on USCIS website, but I understand, wanting to hear from a lawyer, but just know that every situation is different. And when we speak on these lives, these are just the general situations. And I'm telling you client stories, things that have actually happened that I know of. So don't take everything as black and white for your own situation. Okay. Always seek legal advice, but if you just want to know testimonies, other people's situations, just have an idea, especially when it comes to VAWA, like have an idea that you're even being abused. Definitely watch my lives, tune in every week. Okay. All right. So what's the next question? Okay. Well, if there's some connection issues, it looks fine on this end, but we'll just see how it goes towards the end. But today seems a lot better than last time, so I'm thankful for that. Okay, Yanette, you're from Trinidad and Tobago. Okay, you still live there. Okay, yeah, definitely. So you can definitely look into the refugee status, but that's it just depends. Okay. That would just be it. So do you have any situation like what I mentioned, like something that you can claim, because you have to have fear of persecution somehow, so that's something you should think about. Okay, so next question on TikTok from Tim. Are student visa holders allowed to work in the U.S.? Okay, that's a great question, Tim, because it's a yes and a no type answer. So I'm going to explain in a little bit. If you're on a student visa and you're watching this, you have to be careful because so many of my clients they come from student visa to they get married to somebody in college and then go ahead to get green card. But sometimes, if you violate the requirements of your visa, let me just say, like basically you work when you're not supposed to work, or you just do something you're not supposed to do, or maybe you just don't attend school and then just take your social and do something. That could come up when it's time for you to adjust your status. So be very careful about that, okay? So for Tim here, student visa holders, you can work in the USA if you're working at least, I think it's 20 hours within a certain requirement. I think it has to be on campus or something like that. So there are certain parameters for student visas to work. Otherwise, you're not allowed to work. Okay, I've really seen that happen to a lot of people. They just didn't realize, and then they just took on any job, off campus, 40 hours, completely, obliterating the whole thing. So, there's definitely forgiveness for different types of inadmissibility, because um, violating your non-immigrant visa definitely raises some inadmissibility questions when it's time to adjust your status. Like if you've overstayed, that's violating your immigration status. So there's that question on the I-485. Have you ever violated the terms of immigration status? So my clients usually leave it blank because they don't want to be like yes, because it just sounds bad, right? But something just like overstay, that's what they mean. It's not really anything that crazy, okay? So if it's overstay, you know that you're married to a U.S. citizen, or really, you're usually able to. Well, no, with a resident, you have to. With a resident, you have to do a consular processing. You have to do the two-step process unless your permanent resident spouse becomes a U.S. citizen. So, because only U.S. citizen spouse gets that protection from the overstay. Okay. So, yes, the answer will be yes. You validated your status, but so type thing. But anyways, if you have any questions about that, further questions, just book a call and we can talk more. Okay. The next question from Royal Queen on TikTok. How do I file for someone to come from Nigeria to the USA? Okay, Royal Queen, I have a question for you on TikTok. Are you married to this person? Like, who's the person that you want to file for? Because really, the only way to file for someone is through marriage, right? If it's not your spouse or your relative, if you're a U.S. citizen, you can file for your siblings and other people like that. But typically we know that takes a long time, and that's just not really one of the ways to get that quick work authorization and stuff like that you need. So, it's still going to be years of waiting, like in your country and all of that. So we know that marriage is one of the quickest ways to do that. So are you married to this person? If so, you're just going to do the family-based petition. That's your step one. Wait for that to get approved. Once that's approved, you move on to step two, which is the visa stage. Okay. There is a little bit of a wait time, and you get the approval notice till when you actually apply for the visa. It's like 30 days or so wait time, okay? Because I think they just have to transfer the whole thing. I'm not really sure. But USCIS lately, they seem to have been picking up the pace on things. Things are getting, we're getting some letters in the mail. you're one of my clients and you're still waiting for your receipt notice or something, let's just keep waiting. We keep checking every day. We're also waiting for you. We're rooting for you. That's why we're here, to support you throughout the process. It's not just about filing paperwork. Just know that there's somebody out there also thinking about your paperwork just like you, and also checking the mail just like you. So, well, whenever, we help our clients, we provide just that full support and comfort in giving you updates and letting you know when we receive something about your case, and just helping you feel supported, because really it's a very long wait time, and the biggest thing that people need is just that assurance that they are on the right track. That's it. Okay, so if you need any type of help with that type of stuff, definitely reach out. My number is on the screen, as you can see. We can provide you with a consultation to let you know what your options are to be able to move forward and bring your spouse to the U.S., or if you are in the U.S., to adjust your status and get your work authorization. Okay? All right, next question. Emmanuel Utomi. Thank you for your question. I was told that if you are together before marriage, that will suffice for VAWA as a good faith marriage. What do you mean by that? Do you mean like if you were dating before marriage, or what? I mean, courtship is pretty much dating, right? The time you spent knowing this person before you got married. That counts towards your bona fide marriage stuff. So when I work with couples, I tell them to give me pictures of, where you guys traveling up and down, like, oh, hey, doing. So give me pictures of that stuff. It doesn't have to be like from the date of your marriage. Okay, let's start seeing from now on. It's like, how genuine has this relationship been from time, right? How did you even decide to get married? Who proposed? They ask stuff like that on the green card interview, like who proposed, because you can't just, you know, decide that you want to be getting married. Okay. So basically, yeah, that will suffice as stuff you would put together to show good faith marriage. But I mean, how long were you then married for? Sometimes they look at that too. I mean, sometimes people end up having to do like quick divorces if it's like a violent situation, right? If you're dealing with someone who's an alcoholic or something, and you have to just run away for your life with your children or something, that's something they'll also consider, right? So everything is situational, right? That's why you reach out to an attorney. One of the benefits of working with a lawyer on your case, apart from for a VAWA case, for one, you get a safe address to receive your mail, because for people who are still living with their abusive spouse, imagine getting your green card or some type of document that's going to set you free in the mail. Obviously, they'll throw it away. They won't show you. So it gets sent to me, and then we can safely make sure that you get your documentation. So, that's one benefit. And then also, you just generally have someone who has experienced all the situations, because you can only know about your situation. You don't really know what everyone else is going through. But once I hear your story, I'm like, oh, I've heard that before. Okay. I was talking with one of my friends this weekend, and she was like, how is it that, like, she's pretty much was telling me about two different relationships, and she was like, how is it that the guys were using the same exact language? I guess there was something they were trying to manipulate her about, but it just seemed so familiar. And she was like, what's going on? I was like, so I'm telling you, this is the demon of narcissism and abuse. They are reading from the same freaking manual. Like, it's not that hard to see once you've already seen it, right? But if you haven't seen it and you're just blinded by that fog, you're just so ashamed and feel guilty, and they're able to control you in that way. And that's the trap, right? But if you basically free yourself and decide you're just not going to play that game anymore. There's nobody to play the game, because it goes both ways. You can't be abused except you stay there to be being abused. Like, if you just leave, then the cycle ends. And I even tell people, I'm like, listen, I mean, like, if you leave, even leaving the USA, that's how serious I am about this. Right? It's not just about leaving. Oh, let's gonna get VAWA. Let's gonna file VAWA. Like, sometimes VAWA doesn't always work, but in many cases it does. So if it works for you for whatever reason, let's just say it doesn't work for you because you got arrested for something and they find that you're not a person of good moral character. You can try to appeal it and find that you're in rehab or you've rehabilitated, whatever, it's been years, whatever, right? But let's just say it doesn't work for you. What would you now do? Keep staying with an abusive person just so that you get a green card? Like, why? Let's never ever do that. That's just the point. Okay. Yeah. Next question. Master's lock service. My boyfriend had to leave his wife before we met because she was physically abusing him. Okay. He has a green card. If he files for naturalization now, will they notify the wife? They've been married for 3 years. So he left the wife, but he didn't divorce her. And now he wants to go file his naturalization as the spouse of a U.S. citizen. Does he have is he in removal of conditions status, or he had a 10-year green card? Because I think it only, let's discuss outside of this live, but I think that stuff will only apply. Let's just say he applied for his removal of conditions, for example, and that stuff is pending, and obviously he just left the marriage not so long ago. I don't know how he left, because physical abuse definitely leave, because people I've seen situations where people lose their life. Okay, so let's not play with that one. But at the end of the day, I'm just wondering if he needs to wait 5 or if he can just do the 3 years, depending on where he's at with the whole thing. I don't know. I think my pen broke, but anyways, so that's the one thing I would need to know a little bit more about the situation. Yeah, but they definitely will not notify his wife if he filed any VAWA related thing, because that's going to be against the regulations and what we do to protect. I mean, this whole thing is to protect the non-citizen, right? So contacting the abuser is just counterproductive. It's not going to protect the abuser. So they're definitely going to do that. So yeah, but anyway, I hope that answered a little bit of the question. So just get with me. Let's talk more about that. Yeah, so more questions coming through. I see one now just on a TikTok that says, can you talk about people that cross the border, options for people that cross the border? Unpredictable Bay, people that cross the border, it really just depends, right? Earlier, I was talking about asylum and refugee status. So it really just depends on what's really going on, and if you got picked up by the Border Patrol and so on and so forth, right? But there's been like DACA and other types of ways to have just temporary protective status, but not necessarily a green card, because you get DACA, I believe you have to leave the U.S. or something to come back, and something like that. But let's just reach out. Let's talk about it for sure. Let me see this next question from TikTok from Black Tickets. Where's my water? Okay. Your spouse filed the I-130 for you. It's been 6 months. Can I request for a K3? So Black Tickets, what you're telling me is that the I-130 is still pending, correct? If that's the case, then yes, you can definitely still file your K3 visa petition because it's still pending. But if it's approved and you're just waiting for the stage 2, that's done. All right. So I just had another recent approval as well. Actually, still need to finish that whole chat with this client. But like this is like the quickest approval. I'm just like, they're just giving away I-130s these days. So better apply now because we just submitted it, I believe, in September. So like what, 2 months? So, we haven't received the paper copy yet, but, online we got the message saying the I-130 has been approved. So I'm just waiting to receive that paper so I can show you guys. But I'm just like, what? That's pretty quick. ITIN is something we don't really do. That's like a business type things, like tax related. So I think you have to go online for that one. But anyways, file the K3 visa while the I-130 is pending, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Can someone come through the border, get inspected, and have your I-94? Well, do you have an I-94? Okay. Well, as long as you have an I-94, I think that's what you need to show, that you were properly inspected on the road into the U.S. It just all depends on the situation. So yeah, if you're in the U.S. with an I-94 and you want to adjust your status to a green card and you're married to a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, you're good. Okay. Anastasia, what if you work more hours than they stated? What will happen? What if you work more hours than what they stated? What will happen? I don't get it. Anastasia, are you the petitioner or the beneficiary? Are you speaking about the financial support? Give me more information. Let me see if I can help you get clarity on that question. So I'm going to take the next question because we have about 6 more minutes to answer questions so that we can go ahead and continue to talk to you guys on the phone and help you out here. Questions from TikTok. Abena, do you advise filing for K3 along with I-130? That's definitely something it's allowed, right? It definitely saves you some time. Like the previous question has waited 6 months to file it. So definitely no need to wait. The requirement to have a K3 filed is an I-130. So if you're going to be filing an I-130, then just, be filing everything. But if you didn't know about the K3, because a lot of people didn't really know about it, and it's not really, the whole thing here is that I've not really seen a K3 get approved, but it does help your I-130 move along a little bit quicker. So, definitely give that a shot. Make sure that you're in a position to definitely follow through with that, because that means your spouse will then come to USA, make sure they have their passport ready and everything, and then potentially just adjust your status when the I-130 gets approved. So, and once you adjust your status and have your green card, keep in mind your green card. This is something I haven't really spoken about a lot, but your green card is not a visa. You need to be living permanently in the USA, working. You can travel, you have that freedom to travel around the world. You may need a visa, obviously, but at least you can come back into USA without any issues. This is where your family is, and this is where you're building your life. Um, so definitely do anything it takes to help you get a quick process, and so that you can just move on with your life. Okay. Any other questions? We're wrapping up here. What's the fastest route to bring a sibling to the U.S.? Olatunji. Olatunji, unfortunately, there's no fastest route. It's just if your sibling is married to a U.S. citizen, then that's their fastest route. Well, as far as you are concerned, that relationship is so far that, is this a sibling that you're taking care of, or just like a sibling that is married with kids? So it's like the relationship is not close enough for them to, because the reason why spousal is so quick is because, husband and wife, they typically have children together, or they want to start making children, versus like a brother and a sister, just like, what coming, like you will come, it's fine. Or even adult children of U.S. citizens or permanent residents is like, it's fine, versus like a minor child, you know what I mean? So, all right. So there's no, there's really no fastest route. Just if they qualify through sibling, file, like maybe a U.S. citizen file, but if they want to come to USA, then they need to be married to a U.S. citizen themselves to get the spousal fastest route. You know what I mean? So that's the answer for that one. Any other questions? I thank you guys for sticking around and joining. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me, the Marriage Green Card Lawyer, for your weekly Q&A videos or lives and tips that I share on TikTok. These days, I haven't been finding like a lot of dancing TikTok. So if you guys find anyone, just tag me or share with me so that I can dance, because I'm freaking tired of this acting that they've been doing on TikTok. Like, I want to dance, okay? So, and if you want to see me in my element, just dancing and living my life, just join me on TikTok lives during the weekends. Sometimes I come live just doing my thing. I like to cook and roller skate and do all these things. And the only reason I'm able to do all these things is because I have just chosen to enjoy that freedom within myself. So if you're choosing to just live in bondage in a situation that you can just leave, you're not going to be able to enjoy or do these things. You just find out that you're just lying down beside somebody and just grumbling in your heart and just hating everything that has to do with that situation. But you can just decide that you don't want to do it anymore. Like I said, the abuse will not happen if you decide that you don't want it to happen. Use your time to do something else. Yannette, thank you very much. And Dawn Jones, thank you very much. Thank you guys for the flowers and everything. Just share this with your friends. That's how you can support me the most, by sharing with your friends and following me, okay? So that we can continue to grow this channel and grow and spread this message. And that's really what I'm looking for here. Okay. And obviously we can also get money from some of these people, with these sponsorships and stuff like that. So follow me, share with your friends, subscribe, just do whatever it takes to get this word out there. Okay. Thank you again for joining. I think that was it for the questions. It was very awesome. You guys are great. I'll see you again in my next live. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye-bye. And